photographer for Reuters News Service was killed while taking pictures in Somalia in 1993. In honor of his name and truly inspirational work and personality, Clear Creek High School would like to introduce you to Kathy Eldon, Dan's mother. Since that day in 1993, Kathy, along with her daughter Amy, and many others inspired by Dan, have been working around the world to help others. Clear Creek High Life has been in touch with Kathy since 1999, working with her through an online program called Global Tribe. Global Tribe is a program in which students from around the world can do projects to help raise money for the less fortunate. Kathy Eldon is truly an amazing individual. She has been a journalist in Africa as well as a food critic, an art teacher. She's written 18 books, from self-help books to children's books to cookbooks to travel books. She's been a film producer, a documentarian, and a humanitarian. And not to mention an amazing mother, an inspiration to all who meet her. So I present to you Kathy Eldon.
Thank you so very much. It's amazing to see all of you people in one room on a Monday morning at 9. I'm really, really impressed. It's been a little hard to get me here on a Monday morning at 9. I want to thank Rachel for the lovely introduction. I want to thank Dr. Sandra Mossman, the superintendent, for allowing this sort of thing to happen in a school. I mean, me coming here, and Dr. Fred Hayes for inviting me. Most of all, I want to thank Lynette Jameson, who is my hero. I was interviewed in a book about heroes, and I said that she was my hero for the kind of work that she's doing in this incredible school. You probably don't realize how amazing this school is. You won't realize it until you actually leave. Last night I had the pleasure of meeting a wide variety of students and former students, including Corey. Corey's last name is Hairston, and no, Dixie Hairston. I'm sorry, Corey. I'm sorry, Stottlemyre. Excuse me, I can't even get my mouth around Stottlemyre. Anyway, I want to congratulate. I saw all sorts of amazing things, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So another person I want to say thank you to is Ray Joseph Hutchinson, who was in a class, in Mrs. Jameson's class, and learned about Dan. It was somebody that we knew about when he was alive, and we certainly know about him in spirit, and I'm got goosebumps as I talk about him. I believe very much that those spirits are right here with us. I actually call that kind of energy team spirit, and it surrounds me as I try to do what I do. So very happy to be here. And you know what? I remember so clearly sitting in these assemblies that they call for us, well-meaning principals and superintendents at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, and you think, why am I here? And your mind wanders, and you think about getting out of school, what you're going to do this summer, what you're going to do this next year. And I encourage you today, if I am boring, please let your mind wander. Go other places. Use your time well. Do not waste your time listening to me, but take off and find meaning elsewhere. I'm warning you right now. I'm going to try to hang on to every single one of you for this entire 36 minutes that remains. And instead of giving you a long, boring speech, I'm going to tell you stories. And to illustrate the stories, I'm going to use film clips because I am a filmmaker. I make documentaries. I have made one feature. We're due to make another feature at the moment. Orlando Bloom is attached to play the lead role. Maybe one or two of you girls know who Orlando Bloom is. But I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story about a young man who managed to make his life matter in the hopes that maybe you will find something in it that will inspire you. It won't take me very long, and then you'll be able to get along with everything else. Looking out, I can't make out your faces, but I do feel a tremendous sense of energy. All of you have come from somewhere else, and I've certainly come from somewhere else. We're all en route to somewhere else, and somehow all of these journeys have together at this one particular place in the Clear Creek School. This gathering, this destination gathering, which isn't really a destination at all, but really a taking off point for what's to come. We've probably all had journeys that are worth mentioning. Mine in the last 6 months has been challenging. I started around the world. I started in Hong Kong. Now, is there anybody here that has any relationship to Hong Kong? I just want to see if you have anybody there. Okay, good. Hong Kong is represented. Yes, okay. I went next to Singapore. Do we have anybody at all related to? Yes, okay. Singapore is represented. We got a little global thing, right? My next stop was New Delhi. Do we have anybody from New Delhi or related? Yes. Yeah. Yes, more than one. Okay. I moved on to Dubai. Okay, the question here today is, has anybody ever heard of Dubai? Yeah, wonderful. Okay. I left from Dubai. I went to Nairobi, Kenya, and spent 2 weeks in Kenya. Do we have anybody who's attached to Africa in any way? I went back to London and on back to, I live in Hollywood, okay? In January, I was taken to Buenos Aires in Argentina. Do we have any South American types in here? Come on, there must be. Mexico, South America, okay. And from there, okay, this is a really tough one. I ended up in the Antarctic. Now, anybody here related to the Antarctic at all? Gotcha. Now, on my trip, I had many incredible experiences. I met 2 million penguins in the Antarctic. One of the most exciting experiences, the most memorable experiences for me, happened when I was walking through the London airport. I was, as usual, probably on my cell phone, doing my stuff, the Trio, BlackBerry, whatever. And I failed to notice that I had walked past every single gate, and I was at the back end of the American airport, of the entire airport, and it's a huge airport for those of you who've been around it. I started to panic because my plane was leaving in 20 minutes, and I looked around, and there was this very tall, wonderful, elegant Indian gentleman who looked at me like, okay, what's wrong with you? And I looked up and I said, I feel I'm very lost, but I'm trying to have faith that I'm going to find my destination. He smiled at me. He said, in India, faith is very important to us. He said, I'm going to show you. And for the next 15 minutes, Captain Sharma took me through the halls of Heathrow Airport and led me to my destination with about a minute to spare. I got on the plane. I may never see Captain Sharma again, but that encounter will remain with me forever. But of course, that's only part of the story. That little bit of an adventure is only part of the story of my entire journey in my life, which started in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. A little town in the middle of 1 billion cornfields in Iowa. Too many cornfields. But I knew, somehow, out of all those Iowa folks, I knew there was something more that I wanted in my life than cornfields. Believe it or not. And my little voice inside said, come on, you gotta go. Get out, go, learn, do, be, find, explore. And I managed to find an Englishman, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But my journey has taken me from Iowa to London to Kenya and now to West Hollywood. Now, if I were calling that something in Kenya, where I lived for 12 years, we would call such a journey a safari. A safari. Now, most of you may think of a safari as being one of those old-fashioned expeditions where bearers carry bathtubs on their heads. But actually, in Swahili, safari means nothing more than journey. And the truth is, in Africa, you don't know what's going to happen on your safari. Strange animals, weird food like rats, or really good foods as well. Generally speaking, like what happened in that flight, that airport in London, the memorable things are not those that were really scheduled. The memorable things are the detours, the buffalo charges, the stuff that happens on the way when you think everything is going to be fine and something happens. The real adventure on a safari is simply being there, showing up, open to the possibilities, willing to take the risk to get the highs and the inevitable lows along the way. Having the right attitude when you travel, when you go on safari, it means that you go with the flow and learn to see the difference between exploring and being lost, or the difference between being lost and exploring. So, as I was saying, I managed to get out of Iowa, and I moved to London at a very young age with an Englishman who was my husband. We had 2 little kids very quickly, and we moved to Africa when I was very young, 2 babies. I became a writer. It was my inner voice that said, okay, you have to communicate, things that matter. So I became a writer and became a journalist. I didn't have the benefit of Mrs. Jameson's journalist class. I knew absolutely nothing about what I was doing. And so a lot of my articles were pretty bad in the beginning, and very few of them really mattered, especially when I was doing, food critics and stuff like that. But slowly, I started doing interviews with people, and I became extremely excited by the people who seemed to be driven by some inner force that was absolutely inexplicable to me, until I realized that force was, they were driven by the sense that they were following their purpose. And their eyes shone, like Mrs. Jameson's eyes shine when she's talking to you about journalism. They shine so brightly that you know that they are living life firsthand. They are not living a second-hand life. Figure out what that means, I'll tell you in a minute. I wanted to be like those people, but I really didn't know how. Now, we had 2 kids in Africa, Dan and Amy, who grew up in this most extraordinary environment. And rather than tell you about them, I'm going to show you. This is a CNN film. It was produced about Dan Eldon. Won 2nd prize in the New York Film Festival. It's an amazing film, and I just get started now. Thank you. And we'll turn down the lights, please. I know we're nearly out of time, and I just want to say that view your lives as works of art. They're going to be messy sometimes. Paint will run, things will go wrong, but they are a work of art, and they're the only work of art you're really going to create. As well as that, I would say view your life as a safari, as an incredible adventure into the unknown. And the stuff that goes wrong is the stuff that's going to teach you the lessons and the stuff you're going to remember. I would ask you to choose your team with care. As Dan said, I forgot to bring these along, but the book is called The Journey is the Destination. There's another one called The Art of Life. And in it, Dan gives messages to all of us about safari as a way of life. He says, energy, sincerity, clarity of vision, creativity. Mission statement for safari as a way of life. To explore the unknown and the familiar, the distant and near, and to record in detail with the eyes of a child any beauty of the flesh or otherwise, horror, irony, traces of utopia or hell. Select your team with care, and when in doubt, take on new crew. Now, lest you think that he's being all too serious, there's a lot of other messages written in the margin here. I'm going to spend 1 second reading you some of the ones I like best. He said, in the margins, he said, look for solutions, not problems. There is little difference between exploring and being lost. It is foolish and hazardous not to dance in Africa. And finally, the most important part of vehicle maintenance is clean windows. So if you're broken down, you'll enjoy the beauty of the view. Today, I'd like you to imagine your safari, your life as an adventure in the unknown. Make it a wonderful place, the place of your dreams. And in conclusion, I would ask you to remember the words of the Cat Stevens songs, "You're only dancing on this earth for a short time." And I said it in the film, and I'm going to say it again to you people because it can't be said enough. You may only dance a short time on this earth, and you choose your dance. You dance it loudly, you dance it proudly, you dance it with incredible courage and creativity and joy. And most of all, you dance your dance with love. I thank you so much. Safari Jema and Kwaheri Yakonana, which means travel safely and goodbye until we meet again.